Hello, Puget Sound community. This is Sue Dalen from Career and Employment Services. Today, as part of our Ask a Logger series, we're joined by Anna Dunlap, an international political economy major from the class of 2016. Anna is currently serving as the Director of International Recruitment and Development at Teach Thailand Corps and is located in Lampang, Thailand. And yes, she's going to point that out to us on a map. Thanks so much for joining us, Anna. All right. So, questions for you. Could you start by just describing your job and your employer?
Yeah, absolutely. So I work with the Teach Thailand Corps, which is a nonprofit organization located in Lampang, Thailand, which is in northern Thailand, so on my handy dandy map. Thailand is in Southeast Asia over here, and the capital's in Bangkok, and then Lampang is just up north. It's pretty close to the Chiang Mai, which is the biggest city in northern Thailand, but it's a much smaller, it's a college town. And Teach Thailand Corps is an organization that was started by and is run by local Thai nationals. And what we do is we connect graduates of American colleges and universities with schools in northern Thailand as English teachers. So we bring teachers to Thailand, we give them a little orientation in country, and then we place them at schools to teach for a 10-month term. And so in my job, I am the native English speaker on the headquarters staff. So I coordinate with schools across the US. I work with teachers once they've been accepted to the program. I work with them on all of their pre-departure preparation. And then once they're in country, I lead their orientation and I work with them throughout the whole year as on-the-ground support for anything they need with visas, or if you lose your passport, or if you need to miss school to go on a trip, or if you're sick or anything like that. I'm the on-the-ground go-to throughout their 10-month term.
Very cool. And you served as part of the Teach Thailand Corps when you first got out of school, is that correct?
I did, yes. Right after I graduated in 2015, I graduated on a Sunday and got on a plane Tuesday morning at 1 a.m. and went to Thailand. So
that sounds so exciting. What is your favorite memory of that experience?
So I actually have been incredibly lucky. I've lived in Thailand 3 separate times. The first time I lived in Thailand was the summer between high school and college. And I worked in a nursery. I volunteered in an orphanage for a couple of months. And then I taught for a year in 2016. And then I went back again in 2019 in May. And I think that Thailand's one of my favorite places, and one of my favorite things just to do in Thailand is that there's so many places to travel and explore. Let's see. With my school that I taught at in 2016, I taught at a private school that was K through 12th grade equivalent students, and we do Thai students all across this country do Scouts, which is kind of like Boy Scouts, but it's at school. And they do a scout camp once a year. And so for our scout camp, we spent the day with our students and did like big scavenger hunts around town. After dark, still not really sure why this happened after dark. They did like a ropes course and all of this. And we got to, one of the things that they had been practicing all year that we then did at the scout camp is that we cooked like a full Thai meal over bonfires. And as someone who grew up in the Pacific Northwest, I love camping. I love cooking over campfires and everything. But it's a whole different thing to be cooking like Penang curry over a campfire as opposed to like rice and beans or whatever we do here. So it was a super fun experience to go like camping with your students and just like hanging out with kids and stuff as well.
Very cool. Very cool. Oh, so how did you transition from doing that into the recruitment role? That's a fairly new role, isn't it?
It is fairly new. When I was there in 2016, I was placed at a school in the same town as the headquarters. We work with schools all across the northern and northeastern regions. And I was placed in the same town as the headquarters. And so what I did is my school, I taught 4 days a week. And then 1 day a week, I would go into the headquarters and just kind of work on job posting on job boards, just to kind of maintain connections with schools. And when I came back to the States, I worked as a staffing consultant, a recruiter with a staffing agency, and I worked on administrative positions. And so I was able to kind of combine both of those experiences. I knew I wanted to go back to Thailand, and one of TTC's big goals upcoming here is that we'd like to grow our program. And so I was able to take my recruitment experience from my job here in the States and apply it to this program that I've worked with in a country that I love, and kind of really direct a little bit more of our focus to working more closely with schools in the States and students so that they can be more aware of what we do and more interested in it and all of that.
Very cool. All right. Well, as a recruiter, what advice do you have for current students or recent grads who are trying to take a step into the kind of, the teaching abroad that you have for, or into the recruiting role that you do currently?
Great question. So for one of the biggest things that I hear from teachers or people interested in teaching abroad is that they're interested in it because they love traveling and they want to work with kids. And it sounds like such a fun opportunity, but I know a lot of people coming out of school are nervous about going abroad for a year and then coming back and being a year behind their peers in their field who are looking to get jobs in their field. And I think that one of my biggest pieces of advice, I guess, or recommendations is to remember that even though if you are a biochemistry major, we had a teacher on our program this year who was a biochem major who came to Thailand to teach for a year, and teaching English to 12-year-olds in Thailand has nothing to do with his biochem major, but it does have a lot to do. He's able to, on his resume and through some of the work that he did throughout the year, he's able to really showcase how it emphasized his adaptability and his communication skills and his ability to take leadership and jump in. And he went back and came back to the States early enough before this pandemic all hit that he was able to kind of to get a job that's going to start later. But he was able to find a job, and he was talking about how excited he was to be able to apply all of those specific skills, even though it was in a completely different area. So I think that if something like traveling or teaching abroad is something that you want to do, being able to maybe not worry as much about the fact that you're taking a gap year and focusing more on the skills that you are developing when you're doing that. I thought I answered the question.
Yeah, that's good advice. Absolutely. You mentioned the current situation. How do you see COVID-19 affecting your field and the recruiting? I've seen some things on your website about changing timing. What other impacts are there?
Yeah, so for our program specifically, the timeline is a big one. In Thailand, the Thai school year is a little bit different than the US school year. So classes run from mid-May through mid-March with a big break in October. And this year, those classes the new semester is being delayed until July 1st as of now, which means that our program year is being bumped from a mid-May start to hopefully a late June, but later if the situation doesn't clear up by then. But one of the other things that has happened with this is when the pandemic started and as borders started changing and flights started getting restricted, a number of teachers who were anticipating teaching this next year across all of Thailand, people working with all sorts of organizations and different schools all went home. And so Thailand is currently looking at a shortage of teachers for next year, specifically of native English speaking teachers, which is in Thailand, one of the biggest priorities of the Ministry of Education is to increase English proficiency in the country. And even though plenty of Thai teachers teach English in the same way that you have native English speakers who would teach you Spanish in high school, it's not quite as the same education as someone who has the native English speaking ability. So we are looking at Our application deadlines for our 2020 program has been extended to the end of May as of now, but again, that could stretch out further if we're waiting longer to start our program. And as soon as schools open back up again, students need teachers. So our prospective hiring is actually looking really good for people right now, if that's something they're interested in doing.
How would they get in touch with you if they were interested in learning more?
Great question. Our website is teachthailandcorps.org with hyphens between Teach Thailand Corps. And we are on Instagram and Facebook as well as our website. And then my email address is annadunlap@teachthailandcorps.org. And I am accessible by there as well. We have a lot of information on our website about the program itself, the application process, etc. But I am working from home and would love to be sent emails with questions to answer as well.
Very cool. Very cool. So let's talk a little bit about your experience when you were just graduated and kind of doing a job search of your own. Hey, you left 2 days after graduation. You must have been doing this during your spring semester. What's one thing you wish you did as an undergrad to prepare for life after graduation that you didn't do or wish you'd done sooner?
I heard about Teach Thailand Corps my freshman year. I knew I couldn't do it until after I graduated. I kind of forgot about it. I remembered it in senior year and decided that's what I wanted to do. I applied, I was accepted. And so I was pretty much set. But one of the things that I really wish that I had thought more about while I was in school was the steps after that. I knew that I wanted to go to Thailand, and I knew maybe I wanted to go to grad school in the future. I didn't know, but I thought I would come back from Thailand and then figure it out. And I kind of, one of the things that I wish I had done more as an undergrad was take advantage of things like the CES or alumni nights, things like that. Because even though I thought I had a pretty solid plan for directly after graduation, I came back a year out of school and found myself looking for work, not really sure what I wanted to do. And then I would come on the CES websites or look at the alumni information. And I kept thinking about how much easier it would have been if I had gotten that started ahead of time and maybe build some relationships. There are alumni now who I'm in contact with now, but if I had known them in school and then reached out again, I feel like it would have been easier to already have that groundwork. So I think even though you might have that directly after graduation plan, that doesn't mean you're going to know what happens next.
That's very solid advice. What's something you worried about as an undergrad or a prospective new professional that you wish you wouldn't have worried about so much?
Two things. As an undergrad, I do think that there was a little bit of, I was incredibly busy as an undergrad. I worked and I rode and I went to school. I was involved in probably way too many things. And I was someone who really valued doing very well in school. And I prioritized specific grades and specific projects, I think sometimes over maybe understanding the material or whatever. And working in recruitment for the last couple of years, I have seen probably thousands of resumes at this point. I have filled hundreds of jobs in various industries. And I know now that while we do care if you took math 7 times because you kept not passing it, we don't care if you got a 4.0 or a 3.8 in your degree. And so that's something that was definitely, it's something I tell my siblings is, yes, you have to pay enough attention to finish your classes and you have to pass your classes and you have to understand, but you got a 98 on that test. I don't know why you're upset about it. Like, that's a 98 is fine. You're doing fine. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I worried about more as a young professional, as someone trying to break into the job market, was job descriptions. When I came back from Thailand and was applying to positions and didn't know exactly what I was looking at, I would read a job description and I would say, I know I can do this job, but there's 2 bullet points here that ask for very specific skills and I don't have experience in that, so I can't apply. And when I got into my position at doing recruiting, and I would take someone who had 5 years of experience in one job and match them up with the job they'd never thought of and didn't think they could do. And I would give them the job description and they would say that same thing. And going through, it's so much easier to see it in someone else. You'd say, yes, okay, you haven't done this in this job, but you've done those exact same skills in 6 other places. And you're way overqualified for this job. Just because you can't do this one bullet point doesn't mean you can't learn it. So I worried so much about meeting specifically every single requirement on job applications that I never gave companies the opportunity to say, that's fine, like you can do it anyway, we'll teach you. I think that's a big one for sure.
Something we see a lot of people discount themselves before anyone else has a chance to.
It's a delicate balance. You don't want to look at the job description that you can't do any of the things and say, hire me anyway, but you don't have to hit every single checkbox.
Absolutely. All right. So since we're on that topic, what tips do you have for people preparing to apply for a job with your employer or really any employer?
I know with my employer specifically, we are really excited about people who are interested and passionate about what we do. Some people come to us because they love working with kids. Some people come to us with a background as an education major who have always wanted to teach and just thought this would be a fun way to do it. Some people come because they've always wanted to travel and they're perfectly willing to teach English if it gives them the opportunity to travel. Some people come to us with really that motivation for service and development. People come from all sorts of backgrounds, but one of the things that we look for most is, do you care about what you're doing? Do you want to be here? And even if it's something like you're looking for a job in a call center or anywhere else, if you can really demonstrate to the company that you know what they do, you're interested in what they do, it could be a minimum wage receptionist job that you don't really care that much about, but you want to work for the company. And I know that's something that we definitely look for, is like how much you can show in your interviews and in your applications that this isn't your last ditch job. You're not applying just to apply. You want to be there and you care about it and you're going to put effort into it. I think that's a really big thing for applications that I see.
Very cool. Well, since you're a recruiter and you are in the middle of a recruiting season, I want to give you an opportunity to do one good pitch for why apply for Teach Thailand Corps. What would you tell somebody about why they should come work for Teach Thailand Corps?
Teach Thailand Corps is a organization that is run by locals for locals in a beautiful country. It gives you the opportunity to travel and explore a new country and a new part of the world. There's plenty of opportunities to travel all over Southeast Asia. Our teachers this year went to something like 13 countries during the course of the year. So if traveling's your thing, that's a huge perk. But also, one of the things that you get with a program like TTC that you don't get on a vacation backpacking around Southeast Asia is the depth. You are placed in a community, you live in an apartment, you teach at a school, and you spend 10 months there. You spend the majority of your time in your community. And so by the time you leave at the end of your term, you know the coffee lady down the street where you get your coffee in the morning. You probably have your favorite fried chicken lady at the market on the weekends. And you really get to be immersed in a community. It's so much more than backpacking through a country and seeing all the highlights, but missing the real day-to-day life of the communities. One of the things to me that makes TTC stand out from similar other organizations is that TTC is a nonprofit. It's service-minded. There's no kind of application fee or program fee to join our program. We work specifically with underprivileged schools and schools that have a harder time getting access to native English teachers. And I said it already, but to me, one of the things that's really important is that it's run by local Thai. Many of the people who work in our headquarters in our office have graduated from school in the same town. I had a coworker last year who went to a school who had a TTC teacher in high school years ago. And it's not a large international organization run by someone who's never going to know the people at your school. It's run by people you're going to spend a lot of time with. And I love small organizations. I love local grassroots movement, develop work, and that's what it is.
Well, thank you so much, Anna, for taking the time to talk with us today. For any students who might be viewing this at some point, for more information about how CES can support your career development, please visit pugetsound.edu/CES to schedule an appointment with a career advisor like me, and we would love to talk with you. Take care.